Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of BestAgent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So, Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. Just be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. It's Monday night. No cup of tea tonight. That's the sound of my apple juice on the rocks. Cheers. So, I need apple juice to keep my my mood calm in the face of this relentless guff puffing by Rightmove. Now, today, Rightmove put its house price index out. It's January 2026, and it was talking about the prices in December. And a lot of you will have seen the headlines talking about record house prices jump in January, and there's a 2.8% average, a 2.8% or nearly £10,000 jump in, quotes, the average asking price. Now, for those of you who are new here, a reminder, well, not a reminder, you won't know this. So Rightmove's house price index is based uniquely and solely on newly listed properties in the last month with their initial launch price, and it excludes price reductions that happen in this 4 weeks period, and it excludes everything else on the market. And all of the media picked up on the headline figure, which again, remember, doesn't actually affect anybody. So there's nobody who's had a 2.8% increase in their asking prices, as you can see on the screen there, okay? Because this is their breakdown by first-time buyer, second stepper, or top of the ladder home. And the highest monthly change for those are 2.6%. So there's some mathsing going on with the national average. And again, this is why national averages are a completely useless thing for you as an individual. And what I think was by far the most interesting point in this index is that first-time buyer prices are down 0.7% on first-time buyer prices this time last year, right? That means that on average, across the country, first-time buyer homes are coming down in asking price, okay? Which is completely, and that's from Rightmove, again, Rightmove's own data there, completely against what their headlines are saying. Now, the reason this is a problem is, of course, everyone reads headlines and very few people read beyond them. So unless you've actually downloaded the Rightmove's PDF and started getting into the numbers, you're going to think, oh, house prices are up 2.8% in a month. It's a record. And as most of you know, especially if you watch this channel, last week, the Daily Mail put out a story about London house prices crashing. And it's funny, I can almost feel the collective consciousness of Londoners. I'm in London now. Collective consciousness of Londoners reading last week's London stuff and going, oh, we don't want to read that. And then getting Rightmove's house price index today and going, oh, that's better. Thank you. We're back up with the record house prices. But this is unhelpful to everyone and everything. This is what I keep trying to say. And it's been years I've been saying this now, but Rightmove resolutely and steadfastly refuses to change the format of its house price index. I wish it would rethink, because This is off-putting to buyers, to those marginal buyers who I'd like to buy, but prices are a bit high. And then you see, oh, prices have just jumped, asking prices have jumped that much higher. Well, those buyers who are in the marginal section are going like, oh, everyone's gone mad. There's no point looking because their asking prices are going up. Well, actually, if you're a first-time buyer, asking prices are 0.7% lower than this time last year. Excuse me. If you are a seller, these headlines are going to give you false confidence in your optimistic asking price. In a minute, we'll come on to why I think these asking prices have jumped in January. If you're an agent, what this does is it increases overall the level of overvaluing happening, because a lot of estate agents, especially the not quite so smart ones, just go, Rightmove says house prices have gone up. We're okay to keep overvaluing. That's not all agents, and luckily the more intelligent ones see through this and they won't do that. But just the effects of this headline are counterproductive to transactions and to people moving, and it's very frustrating. And that's why I take my time to month in, month out, debunk and bring you the truth based on their own data. Okay. So asking prices only, last 4 weeks only, excludes price reductions, excludes the rest of the market. And every year there is a December dip and a January increase. And I also think it's worth pointing out straight away, early on in this video, that the January bump in price, where are we? Here it is, of 2.8%, it barely offsets the 3.6, no, in fact, it doesn't. So it doesn't even offset the 3.6% total fall in November and December. All right. So, and by the way, that November and December were the biggest drops they had on record for a long time as well. So it's just, oh, the biggest drop, oh, the biggest bounce. And it's just actually really, it's just Christmas. That's all it is. It's just Christmas. We've also got the phenomenon of a lot of sellers who don't pay attention to how the market actually functions and just go, oh, well, if we wait to the new year, it's always busier, isn't it? Busier means more buyers, means we'll get a better price. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And it's a mistake. And sellers who've been waiting, thinking that they're going to have a better chance of getting a better price in the new year, have made a mistake, because now you've just got more competition. Your prices have gone on too high. You've come on too optimistically because, again, a lot of agents, a lot of the unwise agents will have said, oh, don't worry about it. The budget made everything quiet in the end of 2025. The market's going to come springing back. There's going to be a Boxing Day bounce and everything's going to be fine. And of course, we can get you this ridiculous, overly optimistic, desperate price you want for your property, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Just sign our long sole agency contract, please. So if Rightmove's intention is to help improve transaction volumes, the way it chooses to make this publication is counterproductive and unhelpful, which is frustrating for everyone involved because it just makes moving harder. It increases the standoff and the gap. Right, now, I'm here for your questions, any mover questions. I've got a few comments and questions that have come in over the internet on various platforms, which I want to read to you, including some really good happy stories as well. Who do we have here this evening? Timo, hello. Sharon Smith, Malcolm Lane, Sarge, hi there. It's Ben. Hello, it's Ben. On YouTube, Little Carol, Louise Phillips, Zed Humpy, hi there. Yo, Nima Kalegi, Clayton Jane, lots of you. Ramble and Root. So yeah, for those of you who've been waiting for more property to come on the market to buy, it's very frustrating to see property coming onto the market at effectively what look like increased prices. Sorry, by the way, Rightmove is reporting what's happening with asking prices that are set by agents. They are not in any way being dishonest. Is it misleading? I think so, in my opinion. It is misleading. Are they actually misrepresenting what's happening? I don't think so. It's just very unhelpful manipulation that supports Rightmove's biggest customers, because Rightmove's biggest customers are the big chain corporates, who are the ones who overvalue the most, and so this feeds into their overvaluing strategy. Oh no, not Connells. No, Timo2933 says, my sister's changes fell through. Buyer pulled out after 5 months. I've had a lot of that happening. They relisted it with Connells. Why? Why Connells? Don't go with Connells. They sign at the 20 or 26 weeks contract. I mean, they're actually the worst for long sole agency contracts. Okay. Palvez4061 says, I've seen a few properties in the southeast relisted by the same agent, same price. Is this to give the impression that it's newly listed? Any other possible answer? It does happen. It depends how long they've been off the market. It is an attempt to see if there's more interest now. So it didn't work out last time. We'll take it off the market, keep quiet over Christmas, put it back on the new year. Maybe we'll get more interest. It's a very, very feeble strategy. In a rising market, it might work, but we are not. In case you haven't noticed, we are not in a rising market. By the way, news out today from Hamptons that nationally, average rents nationally have actually come down year on year for the first time on record. Now, if that doesn't deserve a sip of apple juice, I don't know what does. Because notwithstanding local regional exceptions where there might be isolated places where rents are still going up, it means that overall, housing is getting a bit cheaper. Same for first-time buyers, getting a bit cheaper. Not good if you're selling. But overall, the costs of housing are starting to come down. Now, it's a shame that the reason for that, in my opinion, is how badly the economy is doing, how badly the jobs market is doing, how much unemployment is rising, how much people's confidence in their security of income is falling. So the reasons that rents are falling and house prices are falling are not good ones, but the fact they are falling is good news. So we'll take that, shall we? Yeah, the economy isn't improving. Actually, I'm going to get into the regional price changes on Rightmove in a minute, because there's some funky stuff going on there. Andrew Dennis asks, I wonder if there is a house in the whole of England whose value has actually gone up in the last year. Good question. Right. Hi, everybody. Hamstering around. Hi there. Oh, Timo says, I told them, Charlie, not to go with Connells. They won't listen. Oh, my God. Can you point them at my videos? Why? There's a video about why you should never sign a long-sole agency contract. That's just, yeah, not good news. Okay, Louise Phillips says, question, I am a cash buyer, chain-free, put in offers on 3 houses in the Surrey area, and both the seller and agents refuse to budge. Well, it's not up to the agent, it's only up to the seller. These houses need work, and still the value is at the top end of the valuation. What's the actual question there, Louise? Have you got a question? Question. Did you? Yeah, that wasn't a question, was it? But thank you for that story. It is very, very frustrating. When I'm all disjointed because I'm reading whilst trying to talk to you, I know, but also very frustrating when you get this kind of, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. I don't want to upset anybody, but it's like blind ignorance. And there are a lot of sellers who think that if they just wait, someone will come along and magically overpay and give them the price that they need. And it's desperation. And I know that there are sellers watching this channel, and I don't want to upset or offend any of you, but you cannot sell your house for more than the market will pay. And if you've had your initial number of viewings and none of those produce what you want, then with very, very rare exceptions for very unusual houses higher up the market, it's extraordinarily unlikely that someone that's going to come along and just go, hey, I don't mind overpaying. I'll just give you a price you want, especially if your house is what I call a mainstream property, not particularly unusual. Do not think, as almost all sellers do, that your house is more special. Even if it's unusual. Unusual in some people's eyes, in a good way, is not the same in a good way in other people's eyes. Okay, it's totally subjective. And most of you who lived in houses for a long time, you've put your heart and soul, you've put love and money into it, and you've increased its value for you. But there are buyers and the market who are unaware of what you've done, unaware of what you spent, don't know what it was like before, and are going to come along and bid what they bid, and that's that. And because we don't have, at the moment at least, we don't have Help to Buy stimulation, we don't have the government intervening and propping up the housing market in any way. We have a new build industry that's in free fall collapse at the moment. We've got leasehold properties falling through the floor. If you're a seller that needs to sell, you need to ignore what Rightmove have done today, which is basically give us evidence of how many unrealistic sellers there are. And you need to price your property so that it looks like the best value of all comparable properties on there. That's what your launch price needs to be. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rightmove's own data. The houses that sell without a price reduction sell in much less time and with a very high rate of completion. So I think it's in the 90%, right? House comes on the market at sensible price, goes under offer, 90% chance of completion. Houses that need a price reduction in order to achieve a sale, the chances of you completing a sale drop to 40%, even if you find a buyer. So coming to the market with the intention of doing a price reduction because you know that your initial launch price is a bit optimistic is like, once I've told you what I just told you, once you know that, it's utter madness in this market. If we were in a booming market where everything was climbing up, it would be different, but we're not. All right, we're not. We're in a market where there's more property in the market than for 12 years, according to Rightmove's own data. The buyer numbers this year are less than this time last year, because last year there was the bump because of the stamp duty deadline. So supply is up, demand is down, buyers have got more choice, they're being more careful. People are nervous about the economy, and so if you're a seller, you've got to take all that into account and stop adopting blind optimism. Zed Humpy says, are you aware of any new data showing more forced sales due to the state of the economy and job losses? Yes, I am. I am aware of it. I can't name it right now for you. I've seen 2 different pieces of data that show mortgage repossessions are up and repossession sales are also up, but I don't have the actual numbers to hand. Louise Phillips asks, is this a long, slow, due correction or a crash? Will we see negative equity return? Okay, so anyone who bought Help to Buy in London in the last 5 years is almost certainly already in negative equity now, which is why so many of them have been selling at a loss. That was in the news recently as well. I've been saying for 3 years, house prices are going to slide, not crash, slide. They have done, they are doing, they continue to slide. But they're sliding more at the higher values than they are at first-time buyer level. At first-time buyer level, generally speaking, with regional variations, at first-time buyer level, prices are fairly steady and stable. I mean, asking prices to be 0.7% down on this time last year is quite something, actually, because the first-time buyers normally, that level of the market is normally where there's the most demand. The Power of Chris says, it took my sellers nearly 4 months to accept my offer. Remember the 3 Ps I say you need as a buyer? Preparedness, persistence, and patience. And this is why you need patience in this market. Because if you are the only offer and the seller says no, and you don't find anything else in the meantime and you leave your offer on the table, sometimes they will come around to it. Someone whose username is uTurkey on YouTube says, "Hi, I'm viewing a flat in Bath on Wednesday. I have a mortgage in principle, which is now out of date. Should I delay the viewing or just make sure I have an updated one before placing an offer?" I don't think it matters that it's out of date, because if you can show that you recently had one and you've got to get it renewed, they're still going to go, okay, all right, you're serious. I would try and get it renewed straight away with your broker if you can. Normally they can renew them pretty quickly. So that's the first thing. But I wouldn't delay the viewing necessarily. If you want to, you can, but I wouldn't delay it. The Nathanius. Hello, that's a new name. Welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for that super chat. Charlie, I'm about to accept an offer on my house in the northwest of England. Any advice on where to find a solicitor, or should I use my estate agent, Ryder and Dutton's solicitors? Okay, I don't know Ryder and Dutton. I don't know who their solicitors are. The answer to the question depends upon why they are recommending them. So if Ryder and Dutton are recommending someone that's a local firm that they know well and work with because they get the job done faster than other solicitors, in other words, if it is a bona fide good faith recommendation, then yes, it is in those instances worth going with an agent's conveyancer. But if they are just referring you to one of a panel of solicitors because they're getting a high referral fee and they aren't giving a glowing testimonial of them, then they're just doing it for money. And no, I would not use them. I would avoid using them. This is why I tell sellers to get their solicitor, actually get them ready before you come to market. So if they give you a satisfactory explanation as to why the people they recommend are great, and you really want to be great, and you're completely satisfied with no doubt that it's a genuine, legitimate recommendation, then you should go with them. Ask them what referral they get. They are required to tell you. Well, certainly the solicitor is required to tell you what referral they're paying. But if you have any doubts, then my advice on where to find a solicitor, I can help you with that. Talk to my guys, right? On the link below, mhwc.co.uk/conveyancing, pop details in there, select your preferred location, north or south of the country. If it's the north, it'll be Sweeney Miller. If it's the south, it'll be Thomas Legal. They are both outstanding firms, and they will move you. They'll get you moved faster. I specifically work with those two companies because they focus on getting deals done sooner. And if you're a seller, the sooner a deal is done, the less chance there is of it falling through. Okay, thanks for that. Innuendo XP says, my area, Southeast London, Zone 4, bus journey from the Lizzie line, seeing first-time buyer level houses relisting 2 or 3 times with no change in price. Now, sellers, notice this, right? When you take your house off the market and put it back on the market, the buyers know. They're out there and they're watching for months. And if you come back on the market at the same price, buyers tend to take the view that you're just taking the mick, or you're being over optimistic, or you're being unrealistic. Okay. Don't think that coming off the market and then coming back on is necessarily going to make a big difference, because in many cases it won't. Just stop showing that for a minute. Hamstring around says, Charlie, I had an offer accepted on a house I viewed. It was going to be launched on Rightmove for offers over 160k, but I managed to have an offer of 150k accepted using your offer method. Amazing. That's the third person today who's told me that my offer email template, with, it's designed for you to customize it yourselves, has actually succeeded in getting people's offers accepted. Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. If you're a seller who thinks that your property is special, you're at a disadvantage. You're not being objective. You need to say to yourself, we might think it's special. The market doesn't care. And yes, maybe a buyer will walk in the door and fall in love with the property. That can and does happen. But generally speaking, it's a bit of a sort of trope joke among agents about how most sellers think that their house is really special because of something that they've done to it. The agent will never tell you that. That reminds me, I don't know if I should tell you this yet or not. I am going to tell you because I want your opinion. So as long-term viewers of the channel know, I have a property website called BestAgent, and BestAgent is intending to be a housing transaction platform that basically gets transaction done much faster. And in fact, I've recently decided that the tagline for it's going to be "Move Faster." BestAgent, move faster. Now it's live, it's out there, it's working, but it's very much in testing and in development and in beta. And one of the things that we are planning on experimenting with, and it's slightly contentious, is the ability for sellers, because BestAgent has all properties listed on it, right? So if your house is for sale, your house will be on BestAgent. Right now, as I speak today, we're doing this massive purge and reset of the data. So it's just going through the reset. So if you look right now, you might not find it, but every single person's house on the market in England and Wales is and should be and will be shortly, if it's not, on BestAgent. So we have the biggest inventory of properties for sale. If you're a seller, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be allowing sellers, subject to their proof of address and ID verification, to be able to say, that's my house. And so once we've verified that you are the owner of the property that you say you are, which we can do because we're going to be having a real-time link up with the land registry, so we'll be able to have access to that kind of data. We're then going to be allowing registered movers who have also verified their ID to make comments on properties. So buyers are going to be able to comment on properties. Now, these comments will not be publicly available because we don't want it to just be open to the entire universe to see, because it's quite sensitive and it's quite delicate. But they are going to be open for other registered buyers to see. And there will be very strict rules about what you can and can't say, and you must basically only talk about objective opinions on the property, opinions about the sellers that will not be allowed. And we're going to experiment with it. We're going to test it, see what happens. The goal being, and the idea being, to try and allow sellers who aren't getting the feedback from their agents they would like, who aren't getting the viewings that they would like, to actually see the objective feedback from registered buyers on their property and what they think. Now, I know this is a very delicate, very sensitive topic. And I know we'll have to tread very, very carefully with it because we do not want to upset things. But yeah, for those of you who are watching and have an opinion on that, I'd love to know in the comments, or even private message me. It's not live yet, but it is going to be going live. And I just think that by having a carefully, carefully moderated ability for bona fide, registered, ID verified buyers to make comments on properties that sellers can see, is only likely to help unlock more liquidity and movement in the market. We'll see. That's the first time I've ever said that publicly. So what do you guys think? Let's just have a look. What do you think? The first comment, Nima Kalegi, dude, fight will happen. Purple Hal says, cool concept, implementation will be the key to success. Absolutely right. It will be, we will take it very carefully. We will take it very seriously. We will do it very delicately. We will monitor every single comment to begin with. We will be using very high sensitivity level redactions, if you like. So any comment that even might contain something that is not constructive will be immediately flagged and not published. We'll see. Bryony Bentley says that sounds like a great idea. Cool. Echo, great idea. It's an extremely honest way of doing things. Well, this is my point, right? Once you get transparency and honesty into the marketplace, things start to happen much faster. Yep. Palvez says moderating comments will be the challenge. Let me just remind you, okay? It will not be anyone that's allowed to do this. We will have been able to verify the ID of registered movers making the comments, okay? Yeah, comments can be extremely subjective. That's right. We have no idea how it's going to go, but we're going to test it. Obviously, no one will be able to see anyone else's name. And if sellers want to see what comments are being made on their property, they need to register, verify who they are, prove their ownership of the property. Then they'll be able to log in and see. The agents who list the property, it's the same. So agents who own those listings for free will be able to log into their BestAgent back office account, and they will also be able to see the feedback. And they'll be able to use it for their customers if they want. Louise Phillips says, question, should I just build a new house? Would that be a better option? I think for some people, if you can find the land, that there are a lot of pros to that option. Sarah Seddon on X says, to be honest, it's only what estate agents ask for anyway. This way, the seller will know, as I think the estate agent only give the feedback they want to give. Correct, Sarah. And in fact, so first of all, a lot of buyers, estate agents only tended to ask people who viewed the property for feedback. Those viewers either don't give any feedback at all, which is unhelpful. By the way, always give agents feedback on a property that you viewed, right? For several reasons. They will be genuinely appreciative of your feedback. And if you're keen to be shown new properties that come on, you will earn brownie points with agents to whom you give constructive, considered feedback on a property that you've seen. I'm not asking for an essay on exactly what you think of the property, but your feedback on whether you like it or not, what you did like about it, what you don't like about it, and any feedback that's useful for the estate agent to give to their seller. Always give the feedback when you're asked for it. What we're talking about doing is allowing feedback from the wider audience of people that haven't necessarily been and viewed it in person. And it's, the goal is to let sellers get a feel of what the market thinks. Deborah Rose says, if it's thoughtfully done, it does help with transparency. You must choose your words delicately. Yes. No, we won't allow any hate. So we'll be using tools to ensure that there's nothing. And it's the kind of thing that would get, as a mover, if you were to break the rules, the moderation rules, you just get banned. Sarge asks a very good question. Can you legislate for people's sensitivities? No, I don't think so. Yes, we will be putting sold prices from the land registry on the listings on BestAgent. I'm actually now in direct discussions with the land registry about connecting some of their actually even more innovative tools that aren't yet publicly widely available. Because the whole idea is to give buyers as much information as possible. Everything that's publicly available, get it all in one place. The reason that the other sites don't necessarily put on everything that they could is because the agents are paying for listings on Zoopla and Rightmove and on the market. So the agents get to say what they do and don't want on those listings. And the agents don't want anything on the listing that might upset their client. Well, the beauty of BestAgent is that agents don't pay anything to list their properties on BestAgent. And so they can't stop us putting public information up there. We're just bringing transparency. Palvez says, you'll need to get agents on board, they'll be concerned. Well, you're right. Good agents won't be concerned. Bad agents will be concerned. That's a good thing. we don't want misleading property descriptions. We don't want dishonest agents and dishonest agent advertising. And the one thing that I have learned about the internet audience is that you guys collectively, I think some people call it the wisdom of crowds, you guys collectively can smell bullshit a mile away. It's astonishing. Your collective consciousness as an audience is immense. It's honestly, genuinely, and that's why I want to bring that wisdom to a housing market platform to basically blow away all the bullshit, if you see what I mean. To start off with, it will only be private, so only registered users will be able to see it. In due course, once we're happy, it's settled down, moderated nicely, and it's basically something that everyone is finding constructive, we might be able to start revealing a bit more publicly, so to speak. Kicking Mustang. I'd be banned for sure. Yeah, Sarge makes a good point. Agents are always appreciative of my feedback because it's honest, focused, and constructive. They know I'm a serious buyer as I've been on lots of viewings and made several offers. Exactly. Zed Humpy says, what's the best feedback from people who decide not to view based on the listing? Just give your reasons. Just give your reasons for not wanting to view it. You know, and of course, a lot of the time, that reason is going to be it's too much money. I would say to you as a buyer, if there's a house that you like and you think should be within your budget and it's sitting there unsold, go and view it anyway. And if you like it, make your offer. Disregard the asking price, make your offer. Too many people are missing out on that. Catherine Moore, hi there. I owe you a reply, I know. This might be slightly off-piste, but I bought myself a book about decluttering. The one thing that jumped out was that we are too sentimental with our things. We are too sentimental about houses. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's a cathartic, healthy, constructive process to constantly, perpetually declutter your house, and especially for things you bring to the market. Be ruthless and brutal. And Catherine Moore then says, and end up asking for too much money. Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Oh, Sarah Seven says, I love that. It's the best thing that will happen to the housing market. Well, I hope so. Well, I hope so. God, you guys are fantastic in the comments. I struggle to keep up. I've got some great questions saved that I wanted to go through with you, but let me just, I always like to do the live ones first. Sarge says, Charlie, what's your view on making multiple simultaneous offers on different houses? I have found two I'm very happy with, and they have a different positives and negatives, and I can't decide between them. So, generally, in a nutshell, my answer is it is okay to do that, provided you are transparent about it. Okay? It's actually in your interests to be transparent about it. So, if you put an offer in on one property, and your answer comes back and they say, no, your offer's been rejected. Say, okay, that's fine. I'm going to leave it on the table. I'm also, if they've rejected, I'm also going to offer on this other property because I can't decide between the two. Now, that will often crystallize a seller's situation if you're the only offer. And they go, God, if he's our only buyer, maybe we want to take his offer rather than him buying the other house. So be transparent. Don't be deceitful. Maintain privacy. There's a balance to be struck, right? Yeah. Now, the land registry are on board with this. Nima, the land registry are on board with this. Art Light Spa says, haha, so Stig will be banned with immediate effect. Will he have his own feedback platform? That would be most entertaining. Yes, it would be funny, wouldn't it? Next question. Yeah, Sarge says, I have been transparent with agents, but they don't seem to like the approach. Any agent that doesn't like transparency as an approach, it's because you're kind of disarming them. And it means that they're not in control. I want to just, it's great apple juice, by the way. I want to just remind people of something. The reason this channel is here, and in fact, I'm now going to use this opportunity to to share a couple of things I wanted to share. So this is one that came in today. Hi, Charlie. Can you see that? Is that on the screen in the right place? Yeah. We used your template, email template. By the way, if you want to find my email offer template, in the description below this video, or on all of my socials in the bio, is go to my link tree. And in my link tree, you'll find, there's a list of stuff there, but you'll find a link to my offer email template. There's one for first-time buyers of the mortgage. There's one for cash buyers. Excuse me. We used your template with some edits to suit the specifics of the situation. Absolutely right. That's what's intended. And we got our offer accepted on a perfect house to raise our family in. Amazing. That just floats my boat. It really does. We beat 2 other offers with one that was higher than ours. Over the moon. Thanks for putting out the content. It's got a far greater reach than you probably realize and has helped reduce a lot of stress in decision making. That's just amazing to hear. And the other one was this one. A huge thank you here. Been watching your channel for months and learned huge amounts. I need to move from the Northwest to London for work. Took all your advice, nicked and slightly changed your offer template. Great. That's got offer accepted on a doer-upper yesterday, and I'm over the moon. Thanks and all the best to you, Fletch. Thank you, Fletch. That's amazing to hear. It twists a few people's brains. Like, but Charlie, are you on the buyer side or on the seller side? Because you give both people advice. I am on the side of more transactions. I am on the side of everything that makes more people moving house more likely. I am on the side of balance and nuance, because this is a complicated thing, because there is emotion involved in these transactions, unlike any other transaction you will ever have. And emotion clouds judgment, and emotion overrules logic. And it means that basically, when you're trying to move house, you effectively go a bit mad and you can't trust your own judgment. And yes, I harp on about house prices a lot because I don't want people to overpay, because that destroys many things, including the country's entire economy, if all of our money is vacuumed up by house prices, which is why I'm so happy that first-time buyer prices are coming down, rents are coming down, housing's getting cheaper. Can't call me a doommonger now, can you? And what I'm here to do is to provide everyone who's moving, whether you are buying and selling, or just selling and renting, by the way, with guidance on how to navigate the minefield of moving, because effectively you are having to swim through a pool of sharks who want to sell you stuff you don't need, get you to overpay, and do whatever's in their best interests, not yours. I'm here to try and help things get done in your best interests. So if you are new and haven't already done so, please go to my link tree below and go and watch the Charlie's 10 Golden Rules of Buying and the separate one of selling. And there's also a Charlie's 5 Golden Rules of Making an Offer. Watch them. They will help you. And use my templates. They're free to use. Rosamond Boateng says, hi, Charlie. Agents will not let you view properties above your mortgage and principal amount. So I'm just waiting for the asking price to reduce before I can view. That's not always true. So if you're trying to view a property that's just come to the market and has lots of viewings, then quite correctly, an agent would say, sorry, we're expecting a lot of interest in this house. If that's the maximum you can afford, we're not going to show you this house yet. But if you go and look at properties that have been on the market for a long time, longer than 3 months, still sitting there, a lot of them, I mean, and remember, a lot of sellers, and again, this is a terrible idea if you're a seller, right? A lot of sellers and a lot of really bad agents giving this advice, which is, how much do you want for it? 250? All right, let's put it on for 270. And so we've got room for a 10% reduction and we'll get you 245, 250. Let's put it on for 275. And they get, so they kind of putting it on an asking price, expecting 10% under. Okay, so there's no way of knowing or controlling which agents are pricing well and which agents are overpricing really badly. Okay, so that's why you can't apply a blanket rule of thumb. So don't be surprised as a buyer when a well-priced property that comes on the market in your area and it's first time listing goes very quickly. Right? That's an agent doing a good job for that seller. But when you're looking at all the stuff that you've been looking at for ages and you're annoyed because it's too much money, but it's been sitting there for 3 or 6 months, you should be ringing those agents and going, I think that asking price is too high, but I'm interested. Can I view it? And they will say to you, well, what's your budget? And say, well, my budget's not that much, but if I like it, I'll make an offer. And some agents want to say no, some will say yes. But you've got to kiss a few frogs, haven't you? Shake a few trees before you get what you want. So in my view, you should be ready to view and offer on 10 to 20 properties in order to get that one lovely property that you want that's been on the market for ages at a price that to you is like, oh my God, that's an amazing price. Can't believe you got that property at that price. And if you do get it, it will be because you were out there viewing when no one else was, which is why I say in the intro, get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. Codename Colibre says, what's your opinion on some agents making buyers pay a deposit and they're not paying it back when they pull out before exchange? Well, that can only be done with a binding pre-sale agreement. What's it called? Sorry, I've lost it. There is a name for this. It's effectively a binding offer. So you both commit, and if either one of you pulls out, you lose a deposit. So it can happen. It can't happen without your agreement, right? So if you agree to it and then you pull out, you can't really be surprised. What else did I have? So do we have any questions? Have I missed any questions? Real-time sale prices will be perfect. So real-time. So what part of BestAgent's overall transparency and communication strategy is, when we have enough volume, we will be recording exchange prices in as close to real time as possible, getting them directly from conveyancing firms and estate agents and you members of the public who want to share your exchange prices as they happen. And as soon as we reach a large enough sample size, we will begin to publish it. And it will be as if not more accurate than the land registry's records, but it will be, because it's on exchange prices, perhaps a year sooner. And it will bring transparency that doesn't currently exist. And we're very excited about that. Kicking Mustang asks, why is it mainstream media journalists are misreporting so much? E.g. The Guardian, UK property market on the up amid New Year bounce in asking prices. Are there really so many vested interests in landlord journalists? Okay, I can actually answer this question because I now have direct contact with a number of journalists at a number of different publications. 3 of the major national, four major national publication newspapers, very famous, big. I've got direct contact with journalists. Like I'm WhatsApping them. And the answer is not some vested interest reason. It is that the amount of pressure journalists are under to get a certain number of stories out a day means that they don't have the time to do the search and the background checking that they'd like to. And one of the journalists even said to me, is there something that you and Stig could do to help open journalists' eyes so that they can report in a more constructive way on these numbers? And I have discussed this with Stiggy, and he said, yeah, that'd be fun. So we are, at this stage, it's just nothing more than a discussion, but we're talking about creating effectively a short course, which Stiggy put together with all the numbers and data to back it up, to open the eyes of journalists who are reporting on house prices so that hopefully they can report them with a little bit more value, added value for their readers, rather than just regurgitating press releases without any question. All right, guys. Nima says, I kissed one frog and I married her and I ended up divorced. No more frog business. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, what was the... okay, oh yes, I wanted to go through Rightmove's... I found this weird. So on their webpage, which is where you download the PDF report from, they say that the overall average change month on month in January is 2.8% up. Then you go and look at the first-time buyers, only 1.6% up, second steppers 2% up, and top of the ladder 2.6% up. So none of them, when you break it down to those three groups, none of them have gone up 2.8%. Only the overall average has gone up 2.8% because of the number of top of the ladder increases that there have been, where the value is higher. So even though none of the three subsections have had a 2.8% increase, the overall average has. Just more proof, if it were needed, of what an absolutely completely useless thing a national average is. Now, let's get into the regional breakdowns, because this also kind of messed with my head a bit. Yeah, if you look at that long-term trend in Rightmove now, going back a couple of years, it's pretty much just flat. There's been a very slight uptick, but it's coming down now. So I think it's trending down a bit. Average stock per agent is down just in December, but it's going up in January. Time to secure buy goes up in December, and in London it's up to nearly 3 months. The regional trends, and again, this just shows you how much a national average is pointless. In the Northeast, the month-on-month change in asking prices was 7% in a month. Well, I never knew our friends in the Northeast were that much of a bunch of optimists, but that's staggering. Yorkshire and the Humber, much more realistic, just 1.5% up. East Midlands down. Scotland down. Northwest up a reasonable 0.6%. West Midlands up 1.4%. East of England 3% up. It's kind of all over the place, isn't it? See, regionally, a very, very big variation. Southeast up 1.7%. Southwest up 1.8%. But year-on-year change in the Southeast is down 1.6% year-on-year. The average of all prices down 1.6%. And also down year-on-year in the Southwest. Down in Wales 1.6% year-on-year. So these regional things are much more helpful. Up in the North, year-on-year, all the asking price averages are up slightly on last year. The biggest one, I think, year-on-year is 2.9% up in the Northwest, which I've been saying for a long time. I think is going to be the part of the UK that has the strongest price growth where there is price growth. Alrighty. Well, it's getting to that time of the evening when I think I want to quietly finish off my apple juice before the ice melts. And remind all of you, buyers, if you're buying, if you found a home you love and want to live in it long term, always buy, but don't overpay. Don't expect to make any money. You might, just don't expect it. If you do, great. Don't allow the prospect of price increases to be a factor in your decision to buy. It should not be a factor in your decision to buy. but it shouldn't stop you buying if you think prices are going down either, because you've got to pay to live somewhere, right? And if being in a home is important to you, home that you own, get in there. Just don't overpay. Use all the free help and advice and videos I give to teach you how to negotiate. Which reminds me, what I was trying to say earlier is the whole approach to negotiating, and this applies to buyers and sellers. The whole approach that I try to teach is that actually, if you follow my approach, you will be impossible for agents to drag into the boxing ring of negotiation that they want to drag you into. Okay, because if you follow my approach, you will reach a decision on your maximum comfortable price, above which you will not go. And therefore, there is no negotiation to have, because as long as you mean it when you say it, that's my one first and final offer. It's the maximum comfortable price. We will not pay any more. We will not offer any less either. It's a yes or a no. And they will kick and scream and squeal and want to go, but why, but why, but why? And you must never answer your question. Just say, in our circumstances, that property, that's what it's worth to us. End of discussion. Never get into, oh, well, the Daily Mail says house prices are coming down. Oh, well, just because you're opening up a doorway for them to overcome your objections. If you don't give them any objections, if you simply say, this offer is the maximum price we are prepared to pay in our circumstances for that property. End of explanation. Okay? And it's a yes or a no. And agents do find it frustrating because you're effectively remaining outside their grasp. Always do the offer by email, by the way, never verbally. Now with sellers, if you follow my advice, you also won't need to negotiate because you will have multiple offers. And you just stand back, and provided you've got a good agent, which you've got multiple offers you have, and that agent doesn't fluff it, which some of them will, then you will have multiple competing offers and be able to choose from 3 or 4 different offers. There's no negotiation required at that point. And by the way, when you've got 3 or 4 offers that are all comparable, don't turn around to your agent and say, do you think you can get any more? Because the market's just declared itself to you. That's the market for your house. And I know agents who've given into that pressure from sellers to try and get more. They've then gone into manipulative games with the buyers, got the bid up. Guess what happened? Yep. The buyer who bid up because he was worried about losing out because he was being manipulated, got within a few weeks of exchange and pulled out. But if you follow my guidance about how to sell a house, and if the agents follow it too, you'll come to the market at a good price. You'll get 15 to 20 viewings. You'll get 3, 4, 5 offers. You have discovered the market for your house. You can pick the one that you think is the best. And by the way, when you've got 3 or 4 offers, you'll often have one that's got no chain. And a no chain buyer is better than a buyer with a chain, isn't it? So again, your chances of falling through are lower as a seller. And you haven't had to negotiate. The agents delivered the market for you. You've accepted the market. Just get the deal over the line. No negotiation necessary. When it's just one buyer and one seller and you're in a tug of war over a number, it's just like that's a flaky deal. And yeah, maybe it'll go through, but especially if there's a chain on either side, you're just rolling the dice. Amazing. Let's finish with this. Fleeceman99, great name, love it. A big thank you from me, he says. Viewed approximately 30 houses after watching many of your YouTube videos. Well done. You did get out and view, didn't you? And so you will have learnt all about your market where you were viewing, and found our dream home above our budget, listed for 10 months, offered our best price, and accepted. Get in! Amazing. Guys, have a fantastic night. Thanks for watching. And remember, sellers, whatever you do, whichever agent you go with, just don't sign an estate agency contract that's longer than 8 weeks. Preferably less, but definitely not longer than 8 weeks. Point blank refuse. Just remember that. See you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye, guys.